This Detroit News Podcast is brought to you by Varsity Ford of Ann Arbor.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Gritiron Gang, a Detroit News Alliance podcast. Today is Thursday, August 27th, 2026, and on today's episode, we're going to predict the Lions' final 53-man roster as we await Detroit's final preseason game against the Indianapolis Colts. A little over 24 hours separate the end of the Lions' final preseason game and the roster cut-down deadline, so not much time in between the final game and the final roster cuts. We're going to go over some injury news and then jump right into the roster projection. Before we get to all that, I'm Nolan Bianchi. With me, as always, my partner in crime, Richard Silva. Richard, how are we doing today?
Good. I'm excited about this one. I know we agree for the most part, but we're gonna have a few battles back and forth. Wait, I don't know how we're gonna settle this. I mentioned that earlier, and you said, well, it's gonna be like Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. They can disagree, but at the end of the day, the Lions got to get a 53.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We're gonna have some of those conversations.
Exactly. Like I said, we're going to go over some injury news and notes here. Just a little programming note. We are going to not have a podcast right after the game. We are going to instead wait for the Lions 53-man roster to come out on Sunday, and then we'll probably go over some, surprising cuts or maybe just give our final thoughts on what ended up happening with the final roster. And who knows if it's even going to be 53 players, because last season it was only 50 players. The Lions dropped their 50-man roster.
Before that, it was 52.
That's right. Before that, it was 52. And then it all ended up working out for them. Two of the guys that they claimed, Tyler Lacey, Thomas Harper, still here. And playing, one of them is going to play a significant role for this team in Tyler Lacey. So we'll jump into all that when cross that bridge when we get there, et cetera, et cetera. Let's jump into some injury notes here real quick. Tight end Sam Laporta is back at practice after missing a couple days with a hip injury. Dan Campbell was kind of non-committal. He's getting a little more vague, I feel like, with maybe some of his injury projections, the prognosis, whatever it is. And just asked, will he be ready for week one? Like, is there any concern that it could impact his availability for the start of the season, which, mind you, as of right now, is over 2 weeks away. This was last week. Dan Campbell was like, well, I don't know. We'll see. So that was a little bit concerning to Lions fans. I think it even impacted me putting Jackson Meeks onto the 53-man roster that I made, or the projection that I did after the Commanders game. Ultimately, he's back at practice this week, and not just back at practice going through individual drills. He's been going through team drills and stuff like that. Hasn't gotten a ton of targets or anything, but just his involvement in those periods, I think, speaks to the lack of concern that should be thrust onto that situation.
Yeah, no, it's a relief that he's back. And to build on your point about what Campbell said, yeah, looking back on it, now that we know that Laporta is back, it does kind of feel like it was one. You remember when Kyle Shanahan got asked the question a couple years ago, and he's like, I don't know if the world's going to exist tomorrow, brother.
Yeah.
I think it might have been.
He said, is Jimmy Garoppolo still going to be your quarterback after draft day? And he said, I don't know if any of us are going to be alive on draft day. So.
Right. Maybe looking back on it, it was one of those answers from Dan Campbell where it was like, I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah. Ahmed Hosni, Derek Moore missed practice on Wednesday. So those are two new, call them ailments, or, I guess we just don't technically know TBD. What they are, but disappointing, obviously, especially for Derek Moore, who had a whale of a preseason debut on Saturday against Washington, had the strip sack, had a couple pressures in there. So we'll keep an eye on that situation. Check DetroitNews.com for further updates on both of those guys. Linebacker Damone Clark. We have touched on him perhaps on these most recent podcast episodes because he's missed the last couple weeks of training camp. Finally asked about him this week. Dan Campbell said he's out indefinitely with an undisclosed injury. And, obviously this doesn't mean anything, but we have seen him out there practice, walking around, stuff like that. So it feels like whatever it is, I guess we don't know, but don't see any braces on his lower body or anything like that. So really like completely unsure of what it is.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because he was, I would say, repping fairly high. He wasn't getting first team reps, like he wasn't getting reps next to Jack Campbell, but I think pretty consistently with the second team. Had he not gotten injured, I think we both agreed that he would have been on our 53s.
Yeah. Christian Izien, defensive back, projected starting nickel, I think, for the both of us. I think we agree there. Would have been the starting nickel, but he also has an undisclosed injury. And Dan Campbell said today, Wednesday, that his status for week one officially could be in doubt. They think they'll get him back eventually, but they wouldn't say what it was. It's funny when Damone Clark when he talked about Damone Clark's injury, none of us really followed up on it because I think we've learned that sometimes if he's vague, he's usually vague for a reason, and he's not going to go for the follow up attempt. And I was like, oh, we probably still should have asked, And then he talks about Christian Izien today, and he's like, yeah, he's going to be out, for a little bit here. Could jeopardize him in week 1, whatever. And Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press follows up. He's like, what is Izien? And he said he's got an injury, and he walked right off the podium. So there you go. Thomas Harper with an ankle. He missed last preseason game. Haven't seen him back out there in uniform. Could miss this one too, from the sounds of it. And then next time we talk, we'll know if Kirby and Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch are going to start the season on the PUP list. I think that's probably more intriguing than anything roster-wise with this team. There's obviously a lot of interesting roster battles going on, but these are two massive stars for this team, two like game-changing players for this secondary, for this defense, and we just have kind of been going through our training camp having no idea whether these guys are going to be on the PUP list, whether they're going to have to miss the first 4 games of the season. We saw both of them at various points during camp kind of running around outside, cutting, running. Branch specifically, I took that as a really good sign. I think Dan Campbell even said at one point, like, hey, maybe there's a chance that we can get him back practicing before the end of camp. Have not seen either of those guys. Kirby Joseph still away, dealing with a personal matter in addition to rehabbing his knee injury. Don't believe he is with the team as of Tuesday, is when that question was asked. So again, this is all completely up in the air. I think it is a complete coin flip for both of them.
And it changes the math, right? I mean, we'll get there with our roster projection when we get to the DBs, but those 2 guys added there maybe kick 2 guys out of the DB room, at least one, right? You would have to think they're not going to carry a million DBs and sacrifice other positions. So whether or not those guys are ready to play and when they're ready to play will alter things.
Absolutely. All right, let us jump into our 53-man roster projection. So we are going to be using a tool that has been shared to us by our colleague Colton Pouncey. This tool comes from Vineet Singhal. The link to it, if you guys would like to play around with it and mess with it, I'm going to sound it out right now. It's lions-roster-builder-Vineet, VINEET, com.rep, REPLIT, .app/build. So if you are interested in building your own Lions 53-man roster projection, go check that out. It's an awesome tool. I've used it for all of my roster projections so far. And without further ado, we're going to pull it up here. Can everybody see? There we go.
I see
Sharing it right to the screen. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, let us, I think the way to do this, and you can let me know if you disagree.
Okay.
Let's have a disagreement live on air here. I think we should just go through and just knock out all the locks. We'll go through, and then we can go through and kind of evaluate the roster from there. So we're going to start at quarterback. We've obviously got Jared Goff. I think he's the only one who's 100% safe at this point in time. Running backs, I think the locks are going to be Sione Vaki, Jahmyr Gibbs, and we'll see with Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, I think there's a small chance that he ends up on the IR to return list, given that we haven't seen him in weeks, and we really don't know what the deal is with him. But I'm going to put him on the roster until we hear an update that I think gives us more concern that he might not be ready for week 1. So we're going to start there with those 3.
The last we heard from Dan Campbell was that he is expecting him to be ready week 1. So,
but he has an MCL, so who knows, what that is going to look like. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's going to make the team.
Probably.
Cedric Wilson Jr., he's going to stay on IR. Isaac Tisla going to be on the team. Jamison Williams going to be on the team. And Greg Dortch also going to be on the team for sure. In the tight end room, this one actually has 3 locks. We might not add another tight end, but we might. There's a guy in there who's very, very intriguing. But other than that, you got the 3-headed monster of Sam Laporta, Tyler Conklin, and Brock Wright. Fairly certain that all 3 of those guys are going to be on the roster. Offensive tackle, the locks are Blake Miller, Penei Sewell, and Larry Borum, just because of the fact that Larry Borum was given $5 million in free agency. So I think that that's significant, even if his play hasn't been all the best this training camp and preseason. Moving on to the offensive guard position. I'm looking at this list. I see Christian Mahogany. I see Tate Ratledge. There's maybe a couple guys in here who are close to a lock. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think those are the only two I'm comfortable putting locks on right now.
I'm with you on that in terms of like 100% or near 100% certainty.
Yeah. And then at center, we're going to put Cade Mays on IR to return. So you get 2 IR to return spots. This is for guys who did not start the preseason on PUP or NFI, the physically unable to perform or the non-football injury list. And you get 2 players who participated in camp and then got hurt that you can put on injured reserve to start the season. So they don't count against the 53-man roster spot, but they have to miss the first 4 games, and you only get 2 of those. So I think we're going to use one of them on Cade Mays, and IR to return on Cade Mays, and then Juice Scruggs. Pretty confident this guy's making the roster.
I would 100% agree with that.
All right, defensive end room. We've got Aiden Hutchinson. Feel pretty good about that one. DJ Wanham, Derek Moore. Tyler Lacey is another guy who you might not know at home all that much about. Like, he played significant snaps for this team last season, but again, like kind of, was added at the roster cut down day last year. He was one of the guys that they claimed off waivers. He's going to be on the roster. And I don't really see a world where he's not. So moving on here, the defensive line, we've got Ali McNeil. We've got Tyleek Williams, and there's a couple guys in here who I feel like are probably locks, but we should probably keep it there for now.
What do you think about Skylar Howard?
I think we could throw him in there, but for sure. But I thought maybe we would talk about him a little bit. So
sure.
Maybe we can do that when we come back. Damone Clark, I'm going to say that he stays on injured reserve here. Then you've got Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, Jimmy Rolder. He could be an IR to return guy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll discuss that later. We'll decide what we're going to do with that. Devin White, I think, is a roster lock. And Malcolm Rodriguez. So that's 4. Cornerback. We've got DJ Reed going to make the roster. We've got Rock Yassin going to make the roster. Ennis Rakestraw, I've heard some people discuss as if there's a chance that he's not going to be on this roster. I don't see any world where that's possible. Like, this is a guy you've waited 2 years to see, and he's finally healthy, at least intermittently. And there's just, to me, he's a lock. I don't see any world where they cut him. If they do, I'll be flabbergasted.
I'll be pretty floored. I think maybe they're out of whatever they did in the Avengers. Out of 2,000 simulations, maybe there's 1 or 2. Yeah. But I don't think it's particularly likely.
Yeah, okay. And then we'll probably throw Keith Abney in there, drafted rookie, played well, ripping with the first team. We'll discuss a little bit more on that later. I think for right now, Richard, we have to keep Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph on the PUP list. Do you agree?
I'm with you. We just have heard nothing that will put us in either direction. So, yeah, keep them there.
Okay. They're going to stay on the PUP list. And then we'll keep Chuck Clark and Avante Maddox, and Christian Izien we talked about. He's probably going to be your starting nickel, even though he's listed as a safety here. So we'll do those 3, and then again, there's another guy who I think is going to be a lock, but if Kirby and Branch come back, then I think his spot's in danger. But we can discuss that on the way back. Jake Bates, Jack Fox, Hogan Hatton. The specialists make it really easy on us. So we've got 15 spots remaining as we circle back here and try to pick up some non-locks, figure out who's going to make the roster. We got 15 bubble players essentially. Does that feel about right to you?
I think so, and there's probably about 20 to 25 guys that are on the short list that we think can actually take those spots.
Yeah. We'll talk about, the opposite of the locks. We'll talk about guys who I see no shot of them actually making the roster as we kind of go through here. That is not the case at quarterback. I think both of these guys have a chance of ending up on the final 53-man roster, regardless of how they've performed so far. My most recent projection at the Detroit News had Luke Altmaier making it and Josh Dobbs not. This breaks down for a couple reasons. One, I think Altmaier has been better than Josh Dobbs in the preseason games. And this is even despite the fact that Josh Dobbs got to play with, the first team offensive line last game, and obviously he was also going against the first team defense of Washington, which going against Amik Robertson, that corner blitz right off the bat, like they got him, they jumped on him. I don't think that sack was his fault, Altmaier's fault. It was Larry Borum who I don't think it was Josh Dobbs' fault. It was Larry Borum who missed a big block, and he tried to get out of there, and he just did not see the corner blitz coming at all. So I know you thought his quote was pretty funny after the game.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs afterwards said he took the snap and was like, "Oh, where's the corner?" And then 1 second later, he was like, "Oh, he's in my chest."
Yeah. So I have Luke Altmaier making the roster and Josh Dobbs not, and I think this is probably going to be I think this was one of the more polarizing picks throughout, but I think I had that in my projection from after the Bengals game. And I feel like I kind of got diamond hands on this. I feel like it's trending this way. Luke Altmaier has been out-repping Josh Dobbs in practice. When we've seen Josh Dobbs, I don't think he's been the better quarterback. You can say, like, okay, well, when we get into a regular season, then you probably trust his experience a little bit more. Perhaps. I don't really know. And in fairness, there's also the other, you could take the preseason or the amount of training camp reps that he's gotten, and the other way. It's kind of all about how you want to see it. And you could.
Sorry, I thought you were done. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say you could see that as like, hey, they're just trying to see everything before they cut this guy. Like, make sure. But I think if you felt good about Josh Dobbs, you'd be giving him more snaps in practice.
So this is going to be our first disagreement. And I think after thinking about it, I land on the side that you were just describing, that the fact that they are not giving Josh Dobbs pretty much any of those second team reps, and the fact that that Altmaier, it seems that they want to douse Altmaier in opportunities and in snaps and in reps, and that they're almost, I don't want to say that it's been decided, but almost that it's, it was kind of decided before it started, if that makes sense, between Dobbs and Altmaier, in the sense that I kind of just don't believe that they're going to have an undrafted free agent rookie backing up Jared Goff in a Super Bowl contending year. And also, I think obviously Altmaier is subject to waivers if you cut him. Dobbs is not. So there's, so you can have an agreement with Dobbs to come back on the practice squad that you can't what's the word I'm looking for?
Can't make with Luke Altmaier.
Yes, yeah. There's no certainty that Altmaier will be back. But I do think that if both of those guys leave the building, I think there will be more interest league-wide in Dobbs than Altmaier. Because while Altmaier has been good, fine, solid for an undrafted rookie, and for a rookie in general, I don't think he's set the world on fire, especially in the preseason games. He's been okay. Versus with Dobbs, he has 11 years of experience, 15 starts, that if somebody needs a backup quarterback, they're more likely to pick up Dobbs than they are Altmaier. So I think that's why I lean Dobbs for all those reasons. Does that sway you at all?
No. At a certain point, the practice reps have to matter. Altmaier has been objectively better than Josh Dobbs. And
I don't know if I would say that. I think they've been fairly.
Dude, did you see
I think
today?
they've been fairly equal.
I disagree. I like. There was a play today, like Josh Dobbs, he had one series. He like ran for 6 yards, and then they gave the ball to Sione Vaki, and then he tried to throw it to I think it was Lucky Jackson down the sideline in a one-on-one situation. Didn't even give him a chance to come down with it. Just sailed it right over his head. Very next play, tries to hit Dominic Lovett on an out-breaking route. The throw was on the inside shoulder of the cornerback. Like, should have been picked. Like, we just haven't seen anything good. He threw like a terrible interception in the game. Again, like,
that was the worst play either of them have made since they both have been here. I agree.
Correct. And it would be one thing, again, if Altmaier was out repping Teddy Bridgewater before he decided to retire, then I could buy the idea that they were going to try to just douse Altmaier with reps to see everything they had. But that wasn't the case. And they just never worked Dobbs in like I thought they would. And given what he's done, I don't think he's done anything to impress me. It's literally just what he's done in the past, but he's kind of older now, So I don't know. Maybe we can come back to this, but I don't. Again, I think The one thing I do agree with is that I don't think that they want to have Luke Altmaier as their backup quarterback in a contending season. I 100% understand what you mean there. But I don't think Dobbs has done anything to inspire any confidence that he can take over the offense in a pinch.
I think it is part of building the roster is also figuring out, who are you comfortable losing and who are you comfortable putting at risk to losing. I would venture to say there's a near 0% chance that somebody claims Altmaier.
I don't know, man. He's a quarterback.
Yeah, but nobody knows it. Nobody drafted him, and what you've seen in the preseason is like
Sure.
a 70% completion rate with an average depth of target of
Sure.
like 6 yards.
Do we want to come back to this, or do we want to make a decision right now?
We can come back to it.
Because I think there's, for all this talk, maybe they keep both. Maybe they keep both. I think it's tough.
I could also see them cutting both.
Sure.
I think that
so,
reality.
Okay,
exists.
so here's another thing that with Altmaier that I haven't really talked about, but I think there's a chance that they cut Dobbs and they try to go get another style veteran quarterback. I don't know who's out there, but let me see. Veteran free.
Well, there's also the chance that some other team with 2 veteran backups cuts one of them, and then the Lions like the guy that got cut.
Yeah.
And then he replaces Josh Dobbs. So it could be a guy that's currently on a roster.
Yeah.
Something
Russell,
else.
Russell Wilson's out there.
I think Russ retired.
Yeah, he did. Jeff Driscoll's out there. Former Lion.
Something else I'll say about Dobbs is he did have the benefit of playing behind the first team offensive line minus Penei Sewell in that preseason game, but also he was the only quarterback that got snaps behind that line. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if they liked Altmaier and they wanted to see what Altmaier could do in a live game situation in a similar scenario that he would be in a regular season game, they did not create that for him in the preseason game. They created that for Dobbs.
Yeah, sure.
We can come back to it.
We'll come back to that. Running back, I think this is actually pretty easy. I think we honestly could have done the locks, all the locks kind of right off the bat. Jacob Sailors, he has out-repped every other running back in camp. You got Jacob Sailors, Roydell Williams, Travion Williams, and Jabari Small. The only guy who's been here for longer than 2 weeks is Jabari Small, and he has consistently repped behind Jacob Sailors. I don't think he brings anywhere near the amount of special teams value that Jacob Sailors does. I think they're going to keep 4 running backs, and one of them is going to be Jacob Sailors.
I'm with you 100% on that. Jabari Small was pushing Sailors at some point during camp. Dan said that those guys were pretty much, neck and neck. One guy's because I feel like a lot of the questions Dan got when you're talking about running back depth was about Sailors, and I felt like every time he was like, "But don't forget about Jabari Small."
Yeah.
But I do think Small missed a couple days of practice. I think he was in concussion protocol for a little bit. So yeah, I think Sailors has pulled away, and he will be the 4th running back here. He offers a good bit on special teams as well, which you need for the RB4.
100%. Wide receiver. I think there's only room for one more. We'll kind of see as we go on. Kendrick Law will be on IR there. I think I'm ready to start with just one. I don't know. I don't think any receiver has kind of grabbed the brass ring. You could say.
For sure.
I think right now with if Cedric Wilson didn't get hurt, I think he'd be in the spot. But I'm gonna put Tay Martin. I'm gonna offer up Tay Martin to be that wide receiver 5. He's been a guy that Dan Campbell has talked about a lot. He does a lot of the little stuff. He contributes on special teams. He made a couple nice catches in practice today. I think, I would have thought maybe Lovett going into the training camp, but I don't know. I think this is kind of a little bit of a toss up. I think there's a very good chance that whoever it is like surprising.
I'm with you that they keep 5 receivers, and I'm with you that it's Tay Martin, so we could lock him in there.
Okay.
But I do think, Tom Kennedy, I think I'm not ruling him out yet. Dom Lovett, as you mentioned, Tariq Black, Lucky Jackson, like really, I think any of those 5 guys, and with Cedric Wilson before he got hurt, it was really 6 guys, but any of those 5 healthy guys, I could see it going any which way.
Yeah. My only thing with Kennedy is he's never made
Yes.
He's never made
once
made one roster. He has gotten through on the practice squad every time. He's the same exact player as he always was. You're going to be able to get him on the practice squad.
I was going to say the argument I was making for Dobbs against Altmaier of being like, I think Altmaier will come back on the practice squad. You make that 100 times more with Tom Kennedy. Tom Kennedy will be back on the Lions practice squad if they move on.
Tight end. We've got Jackson Meeks here. Thomas Gordon, Zach Horton. I think Meeks is the only one who has a chance to sneak onto the 53-man roster, and I think his whether or not he makes a roster is honestly just depends on how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes, like he's done a lot. He's impressed as a pass catcher, and perhaps you can leverage his previous experience at wide receiver to be like a guy who can like pinch hit in that position.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know, man.
Can we? So for Meeks, like you mentioned, he's done a lot. He's improved as a tight end, pass catcher, all that, and also the special teams. You saw the forced fumble that he had against the Commanders. Can we revisit this? Because this isn't a Meeks versus somebody else for tight end 4. This is tight end 4 versus linebacker 6 or 7 or guard 4 or something like that.
How about this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we put Meeks on the roster? Why don't we go back? We'll put Dobbs and Altmaier on the roster, and then we'll pare it down from there.
Okay.
Because and then we'll overshoot it. Because I think right now maybe we're trying to be in the mindset of like let's one shot this and get the 53 right off the bat. Whereas let's be a little I guess free with adding guys, and we can take them off later. Devin Cochran, Colby Sorsdahl. I don't think either of them are going to be on the roster, especially with Larry Borum being around.
I'm with you. I think Cochran will be a practice squatter or prime practice squad candidate, and in a pinch they could call him up.
Sure. Yep. He was with the team a pretty decent amount of time last season. Yep. I don't know if he was there the full season, but moving on to guard here, we've got Ben Barch, Mason Miller, Michael Neese, Melvin Presley, and Miles Frazier. I'm going to put Ben Barch on there. I'm probably a little more confident that he's going to make the roster more than other people, just based on conversations I've had with other people on the beat. But I think given how clearly they wanted him to challenge Christian Mahogany for that left guard spot and how disappointed they were that he just couldn't get healthy enough with the foot injury and then concussion that kind of derailed his health once he got back on the field and started doing team period stuff. I think that they wanted him to compete, and I don't think you let a guy like that go just because he missed a couple weeks of practice. Obviously, tough decisions have to be made, but you look at the other guards on this list, and I think Miles Frazier is probably the only one with a realistic chance of making the roster here.
I was concerned about Barch because before he returned to practice, because if he had missed all of this week, it would have been, I don't know, he would have gotten like 2 padded practices the whole time he was here. But the fact that he's back now, the fact that he's repping with the 2s, I agree with you that I would put him in. And also the fact that if somebody on the interior goes down, if something happens to Mahogany or Tate, who else were you going to put there? It's got to be Barch or some other veteran that's yet to be signed.
Yeah.
Because while I agree with you that I would have Miles Frazier in, I actually don't know if you said that, but I would have Miles Frazier in.
I probably will.
I don't think Frazier is ready. I don't know if that's like unfair to say, but his play has been well behind some of the other interior linemen, and he's also getting some opportunities at tackle.
Yeah, I think his versatility is the only thing that like gives him a chance to stick around. The fact that he can play both, and maybe that allows them to make a cut elsewhere along the offensive line. But at the same time, I don't think you feel comfortable putting him in at either position right now.
Sure.
So, all right, we'll move on here. Here's a tough one.
I'm so conflicted about this.
Seth McLaughlin. They just added Gus Hartwig right here earlier this week. He's not going to make the roster. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Never say never. I don't think he's going to. Seth McLaughlin has been here for all camp. He's been here. He signed with the team, months ago. He clearly does not have the ideal size. He doesn't have all that. But they're going to be starting Drew Scruggs at center. And right now, outside of Michael Neese, who we did not have making the team, they don't have a backup center. Tate Rallage could probably do it in the event that like 2 injuries happen, but I think that's the only scenario where you want Tate Rallage taking center snaps.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of tend to think he needs to be on the roster.
I think we put him on for now for the reasons that you said about both quarterbacks and Jackson Meeks, and we could potentially go back and we could have a discussion about it if we need to potentially not include him. But I think the idea with him is maybe you have him on the practice squad and you do a few elevations when Mays is out. You get 3 elevations, so maybe you could do that for 3 weeks, and then maybe a spot opens up by week 4 and you could pull him up that way. But for now, let's put him in, and then maybe we could revisit it.
Is there any concern about him getting claimed? Because I think he's done okay through his first 2 preseason games, and obviously he went undrafted, but he was arguably the best player not drafted in 2025. Former Remington Award winner. just given the experience that he has, could a team who hates its center position or what have you, could they pick him up?
Yes, I would be a little bit afraid of it. Probably out of all the guys that we've discussed so far, I'd be the most scared of
I
that.
agree.
But you know, a team picking somebody up, claiming them, they have to bring them in, and not only do they have to bring them into their active roster, they have to be there for 3 weeks at least.
Yeah.
So, teams haven't really gotten a look at Seth McLaughlin following the Achilles injury and subsequent recovery like the Lions have the past few weeks. Seth McLaughlin said he didn't feel healthy with the Bengals last year, and now he does. So I think the Lions have a little bit of they have a better idea of who he is at this point. And if they're not willing to take the risk and put him on their 53, why would another team not only take the risk but have to roster him and have him eat a spot for 3 weeks?
Well, I would say the counter to that is there's probably a lot of teams out there who aren't as concerned about his size.
What did I say? Size? Injury concerns as well.
No. I'm saying like I think the reason that the reason that the Lions haven't given, not that they haven't given him a true shot. If he would have come in and been the world's best offensive lineman, they would have put him on the team despite his size. But like, given the way that they've kind of talked about that, I don't think that he's just a fit for them. Which I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know where I fall on that.
Yeah. All right, let's keep him around for now.
For 44 years, Varsity Ford in Ann Arbor has been more than just a dealership. We're a family, proudly serving yours. As one of the top volume Ford dealers in the world, we're proof that when you treat people right, they come back, generation after generation. And now we make it easier than ever with complimentary pickup and delivery for both sales and service. So you can buy or service your Ford without leaving home. Varsity Ford, driven by family, built on tradition.
Going to the defensive end room here, we've got Peyton Turner, Eric O'Neill, Anthony Lucas, and Ahmed Hassanin. I think Ahmed Hassanin's going to make the team.
Yeah.
Been playing well throughout camp. I think he's quieted down as of late. Obviously, missed camp today. Had the great preseason game against the Bengals. Quieter against the Commanders, but I think he's going to be on this team.
Yeah, still a solid game and, run defense and all that. Peyton Turner, just unfortunate, after the first day of camp, tweaked his back, and we haven't seen him since. Eric O'Neill, I think, has a potential opportunity, but we said this last year about a guy like Isaac Ukwu or Anthony Lynn. It's just hard not to think of a guy like guys like that. Nate Lynn, thank you. And then compare them to O'Neill this year. I think they would be interested in bringing him back on the practice squad, but I'm with you here on that these 5 defensive ends.
But in even that, who knows? Like
yes.
Ukwu and Nate Lynn, guys, I think we probably had them like making the roster at one point or another throughout camp, maybe even on the final roster. Didn't even get practice squad invites. So, yeah, certainly no guarantee there. We are at 6 spots remaining as we pop over to the defensive tackle here. And when I've been doing this over at the news or for the website, I've kind of just lumped all the D line together, the defensive tackles, the edges, because the Lions do like to deploy their guys with a lot of inside outside versatility. So we've got Ben Stilley, Chris Smith, Levi Onwuzurike, Mekhi Wingo, Miles Adams, and Tyree West. We've got 3 defensive tackles already on the roster and 5 edges. So we have 8 defensive linemen between edge and D tackle. Theoretically, I don't think this is going to happen because Dan Campbell talked about the defensive line being the one that he thinks is probably the most loaded, I would say. Like top to bottom, he's like, man, there's so many guys in there. Ben Stilley is a guy who I think is really interesting. It would not shock me at all if he ends up on the 53-man roster. He's made plays every single day. I think he's been pretty decent in the preseason games. I don't know if we should start there. I'm going to say Mekhi Wingo, no. I
think he's just a little bit redundant with Skylar Go-Howard.
100%. Tyree West, you and I were talking about this after the game. 7th-round pick out of Tennessee this past year. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a drafted rookie, I wouldn't even think that he'd be in Colby Sorsdahl territory. And obviously, guys need time to develop sometimes, and they probably trust their plan or whatever, but I don't think he's getting a spot on this roster, on a contending roster. And I think the only thing preventing him from not ending up on the practice squad, I guess, unless I'm missing something. We're watching from field level during training camp. It's not always as easy as to see what the defensive linemen are doing, but
it's been a little quiet.
It's been very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Levi Onwuzurike is a guy who's been ramping up. Dan Cable even said, he was repping like lower on the depth chart to begin camp. He's still coming back off that injury, first year back from a knee injury. I don't know what to do with this guy.
I think there's potential for 2 more defensive tackles here, and there's 3 guys that I think are in the running for it. Levi being one of them.
Yep.
Chris Smith being the other one.
Yep.
And Ben Stille.
Yep.
And I can convince myself really any which way of those of 2 of those 3.
I can too.
Do
you want to put Chris Smith on the roster? Because again, what's funny? Sometimes we'll ask about a guy, and then Dan Campbell, you could ask him about anybody. You could be like, "Hey, what do you think of that junior high defensive tackle?" And he'd be like, "Oh, I love him. He plays really hard." Blah blah blah. But then sometimes maybe we read into that too much and be like, "Well, he said he loves the 7th grade offensive tackle. What can he do? Do we read into that or no?" And that is the situation that I find myself with Chris Smith, where he's like, man, loves doing the dirty work, loves this, love that. He doesn't. All he cares about, you know what heaven is for him? Heaven is a place where he gets to hold up the offensive lineman so the linebacker can go make the tackle. Man,
nothing makes Chris Smith happier than the clean Jack Campbell.
Yeah. And he did make the roster last year. I think I'm going to put him on. I think we should start there.
You're saying about maybe we're reading it too much into it with some guys, and I agree with you. But we have proof. Last year, when they only kept 50 players, they kept Chris Smith. Chris Smith never appeared in the game for them last year. However, I do think they value him. He's been, since going undrafted in 2023, he's only been with the Lions. They've kept him around every year. Sometimes practice squad, sometimes active roster. Let's put him in. He will be our 4th DT in. And then now it's a Ben Stille versus Levi Onwuzurike discussion.
And I think all of my attachment to Levi Onwuzurike is based on past production, is based on, the possibility that he can somehow become the player he was in that 2024 season when he had 45 pressures and all this. I don't think he's going to be that player this year, just based on what we've seen, just based on what we know of guys coming off an ACL. I think the only problem with him is I feel like he'd probably go somewhere else if you do cut him, whereas Ben Stille, he was a mid-camp addition, could just end up right on the practice squad. People ain't seen what he's done in practice, and he hasn't lit the games on fire, so I think you could probably get him back on. But again, if we're just talking about guys who can help win games, I think I lean Stille. Even though I thought Levi was a fantastic player in 24, and I had high hopes for him going into last season before we found out about the knee injury.
I agree with everything that you said, but I still think I lean Levi just a smidge because since training camp has started, and since Stille has got here, Stille was a mid-camp edition, I think August 9th or something like that he got here. He's been the more productive player. He's made more splash plays, what have you.
Had a sack today.
Yes. But at the end of the day, we are talking about a player in Stille that's appeared in 18 games in his career, has made 17 career tackles, 2 of them being sacks, has produced 13 career pressures in those games, versus Levi, who is coming off the injury, right? But by the time he plays football again, it'll be a year and a half since he got, I don't want to say since he got hurt. Since we last saw Levi play football, it'll be about a year and a half. And he's been much more productive. And I don't know, I fear that me or you or us would put a little too much stock in 2 weeks of practice, especially against, Ben Stille isn't going up against Tate Ratledge every play. He's going up against Miles Frazier some plays, and he's beaten Miles Frazier to his credit. And it's the reason why we're having this discussion. But for those reasons, I think I lean Levi a little bit. But if you're passionate about Stille, I won't push back.
Let's do it. Let's put Levi on the roster. I think from and just from the roster construction standpoint of will we lose this guy? Just trying to play that game. I think Levi makes sense to keep.
Agreed. Okay.
So we're good on that. All right, we have 4 roster spots left as we go. And this might not be that difficult. I mean, we still only have 1 quarterback on the roster. We got 4 roster spots left, and we only have 4 linebackers on the roster. But okay, never mind. This is going to be kind of difficult. All right, I think we're going to end up with 58 guys on the initial. Let's start with Eric Hunter. What do you think about him? Well,
So,
actually, Jimmy Rolder's going to be on the team. I don't know why we didn't click him to begin with. Maybe we talked
Well,
about
you said
possibly.
the IR.
Do we want to put him on IR to return? I think Dan Campbell thinks he can start practicing in the regular season, but with the new PUP rules, you can do that. You can have him on PUP and then have him start practicing in week 2, I believe.
Yes, but Rolder is not on anything right now, and if he goes on IR to return, he still has to wait 4 weeks. The 2-week rule is only for PUP players.
Oh, okay.
So that would only be Kirby, Manu,
Okay.
and Branch.
All right.
So
Well, that complicates things.
Yes, because if it was 2
All right,
weeks,
then he's
I'd
on
be
the
like,
roster.
okay,
right.
yeah.
We now have 5 linebackers on the roster.
So the others here, I think
Nowaski is a lock as well. Sorry. I think we probably should have locked.
Yes, which Dan Campbell said that they think he's going to be okay. He left yesterday's practice, Tuesday's practice. I agree with you. Put in Nowaski. I think they really like Nowaski. I think he's one of their better special teamers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they keep another one. I think it might just be these 6. If we're talking about who I think is in contention, if they were to keep a 7th, it would be Eric Hunter versus Joe Bocci for me.
100%. Same here.
And there's reasons to like both. I think Eric Hunter's kind of like, he's undersized for the position, but he's an incredible athlete. And, high effort player, still like highly moldable. Dan Campbell said his biggest issue is that he just doesn't know what he doesn't know. Played at a small school, Morgan State. That's Hunter. Bocci, and Dan Campbell talked about him a little bit today. He just seems to like kind of what we were talking about with Stilly. It's like, the guy keeps making plays. Yes, it's against the 2s and the 3s, but he just keeps making plays, man. We're writing down his number constantly, 35. So I think if you're talking about a player that can help you more this season, I would lean Bocci. And also the fact that Hunter, you could probably get him back on the practice squad. You could probably get both of these guys, I think, probably on the practice squad and feel pretty good about it. But I don't think they would keep 7. I don't know if we want to add it. I know we're pushing up against the 53 here. I'm cool with these 6 if you're cool with these 6.
I am cool with these 6. And if we were to add one, I would add this. Today we talked to Dan Campbell. We asked him, how do you weigh like, this guy is developing, like he could have a future, but this guy could help us win in week 1. Like at what point, like how do you make those decisions? And he's saying, well, if that guy, the developmental guy, is somebody who can help us in week 10 of this year, then maybe we keep him around over the guy who can help us immediately but has a much, much lower ceiling. I don't think Eric Hunter is helping this team this year.
I think he needs some development.
So for those reasons, if we had to pick one, I'd probably go Bocci. But again, I agree with you. I'm kind of set here because we're going to end up with a lot of DBs on this team, I think. And we got a lot of D linemen too. So, between those two groups.
I agree with you that I would lean Bocci over Hunter, maybe ever so slightly, but let's roll with these 6.
Troy Reader, a guy we didn't talk about, just didn't scroll down far enough. I don't think he's going to make that doesn't change the calculus for me. All right, cornerback. We've only got 4 on right now. We have 5 because Christian Izzian counts as a cornerback. We got Khalil Dorsey, Nick Whiteside, Roger McCreary. I don't really know what to do here. I think Khalil Dorsey's on.
Let's put Dorsey in for his work as a gunner.
One of the best gunners in the game.
I don't know who I feel better about between Whiteside and McCreary. I want to say Whiteside just because if something were to happen to Rocky Scene, let's say they prefer Ennis Rakeshaw. Ennis Rakeshaw's up. It's unfortunate, but it's just reality. You're going to live in fear that he's going to get hurt every play. It just is what it is. And if Whiteside's not on the roster, next up after Rakeshaw would be like Khalil Dorsey, who all the reasons we just said he's going to make the roster is for special teams. You don't. I don't think you'd feel great about him being on the field. So I would put Whiteside in here,
and that's probably where we're going to keep it because that's 7. That's a lot.
Do you want to go back and clear up some of these spots because now we're at 53?
Oh yeah, I thought you were able to add more, and then
that's okay.
Yeah. So I would say here's where we're at. I think the only guy left that we add is Thomas Harper.
I also think Roger McCreary has.
Roger McCreary. Yeah. Okay.
Let's go back and pick the quarterback. If you want Altmaier, I think we can pick Altmaier. Whatever. We have it established. You like Altmaier more. I like Dobbs more. It's not a big deal. Whatever.
Okay.
So we can go with Altmaier.
All right. You know what? Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. We got to make a decision, baby. I respect you. You can get the next one, huh?
Yeah, thank you. All right. Running backs are locked in.
Yeah, we're set.
Wide receivers are locked in with 5. Let's revisit tight end. Keep scrolling for now with Jackson Meeks.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I think I'm ready to take him off. I just don't think they need him.
Let's revisit.
Okay.
That's like my last one. Tackle, I think we're good.
Yeah.
With 3. Offensive guard, I think we're probably good with these 4.
Do we take Miles Frazier off?
I think you're more likely to take McLaughlin off
Yeah.
than you are. So would you
But if Scruggs gets hurt in week 1, like you're screwed.
Well, no, that you have McLaughlin, you practice squad.
No, I'm
call-up.
saying, what if he gets hurt mid-game?
Practice squad call up. That's why McLaughlin's there.
Oh, you're saying you'll call him up for
I'll
the
call
first
him up
3
from the
games of the season, and then
Yeah, and then week 4, maybe someone else will get hurt, and we could add him to the roster that way. Are you? Who would
so
you
we're
prefer,
taking McLaughlin off.
Who would you prefer to have as McLaughlin or Jackson Meeks? I think that's
I would rather have Jackson Meeks, but I think the more responsible thing to do is keep Seth McLaughlin, you know. But I agree with you that you can do the gymnastics that way,
yes,
and figure it out. You know, somebody's gonna get hurt. Whether or not they're gonna end up on IR or like get cut or anything like that is a different story. But like, somebody will probably get hurt. And
do you want to do the responsible thing and we'll keep McLaughlin? Or wait, what do we think? I don't know. I'm waffling.
I guess you know, my thing with Meeks is I think they can get by without him. Yeah, sure, he adds a different flavor, and you know, maybe in this world of 13 personnel, you know, proliferation, it's worthwhile to have him on the roster. But I think Tyler Conklin, at his best, can catch the football, and Sam Laporta is one of the best pass catching tight ends in the game. Maybe you like to have him around as, you know, you go 13 personnel and take Brock Wright off the field. But I don't think it's necessary. But I just like Jackson Meeks as a player, and so
I'm with you. I want Jackson Meeks to like make the roster and be good.
Yeah,
because I think it's awesome. But I'm with you. Let's take him off. When I was doing my own in preview or in preparation for this, he was my 54th player.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I hate.
He's been that for me. I think I've had him making it once, and then the other time he was my 54th player as well. He just like the guy was going back, and I'm like, all right, sorry, I can't do it. So we're keeping Seth McLaughlin or no?
I think so. I think we made the decision between the two of them.
Okay, all right. Now we have 3 spots remaining. Going back to edge here. We're set here. Yep, we got 5 there. We got 5 defensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
Inside linebacker, we're cool there. So I think you can go Whiteside, McCreary, Thomas Harper. Is it that easy?
I'm with.
Did we do it?
I think we did it.
I think we did it.
Let's take it from the top.
Okay. But you might be right about this quarterback thing. I don't know. I think I've just like thought too much about the quarterback thing, and like I don't know. I think it could be a 50-50 chance. I know how I feel about Altmaier, but I don't again, you're 100% correct in that the team, an NFL team, might not think that same way. And looking around the landscape and being like, okay, how do we end up with the best backup quarterback situation for the entire season?
This will be my last word on it. Before Dobbs got here, the day Dobbs got here, they signed Dobbs. Who did you think was more likely to be the backup?
Dobbs.
And based on the snaps that they have given them in practice, like it's almost like if they felt like Dobbs was going to be their guy, they haven't even almost given him an opportunity to prove them wrong. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, but what I will say is that I think he came in and he just hasn't shown it. He's never had like a wow, Josh Dobbs is having a good day.
I think he's been okay. I think he's made some throws. He made a nice throw to Cedric Wilson on like one of his first days.
That was his first throw.
Yeah,
never got better than that.
The 50-yard run, which whatever, take it or leave it as a quarterback. It's definitely like it's an asset to have in your tool bag in the event you need it. But I understand we're talking about quarterbacks. He made a nice throw to Lucky Jackson. I think it was down the sideline. He like layered it over the corner in this last Commanders game. Or maybe I think it was Tay Martin. That was his one catch, I think. So I don't know. I still lean Dobbs, but if you still lean Altmaier, I'm fine with it.
Okay,
But
I think that's the way
I pick Dobbs.
because as we said, Josh Dobbs made the worst quarterback decision of the preseason, throwing that ball. Not just the worst play, bad thing like Luke Altmaier letting the ball slip out of his hands before he handed the ball to Jacob Sailors and fumbling on their own goal line. Horrible play. You could argue that was worse than Dobbs, but like
it wasn't like a rookie decision.
Yeah, and he's kept the ball out of harm's way even throughout training camp, and like when we saw Hendon Hooker last couple of years, and it's like, he's not always making the right decision. Like it looked terrible in the preseason. And again, Altmaier's not lighting the world on fire. I don't think he's thrown for over 100 yards yet, but he's bested Dobbs' stat line in both of those games. And I think the only reason why you would lean Josh Dobbs is because he started games before, which does matter a lot because this is a team that's going to be contending for a Super Bowl, and you'd rather. It's like Tarek Skubal. He pulled himself out of the game against the Seattle Mariners, Game 5 of the ALDS. Very next inning, they gave up a game-tying home run. And Tarek Skubal could have just as easily given up that home run. He did it the year before in the game that they got knocked out against the Guardians, where he gave up a grand slam to Lane Thomas. But you can live with that. And I think that's kind of the situation you're in with Josh Dobbs and Luke Altmaier, where it's like, well, okay, like, if Josh Dobbs gives away the season, you can live with that. But if you give the keys over to Luke Altmaier, an undrafted rookie, and he gives up a grand slam, you can't live with that. So I don't know. I think it's literally just personal flavor, and I've seen enough from Altmaier to be like, screw it, toss him the keys.
I picked Dobbs, but you can victory lap it if you're right at the end in a week, or not even a week, in a few days.
All right. We're gonna keep Altmaier. I appreciate that. You're a good man. I'm glad we came to this decision together. I guess you could say. Or do we want to keep both? Do we want to keep both and go?
No.
Okay.
That I want to do that the least. Well, that's a running back.
All right, let's go through the final 53 here. We've got quarterback Jared Goff and Luke Altmaier, running back Isaiah Pacheco, Jacob Sailors, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Sione Vaki. Wide receiver, we've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Greg Dortch, Isaac Taslad, Jamison Williams, Tay Martin. Tight end, we've got Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, Tyler Conklin. Offensive tackle, Blake Miller, Larry Borum, Penei Sewell. Offensive guard, Ben Barch, Christian Mahogany, Miles Frazier, Tate Ratledge. Center, Drew Scruggs, Seth McLaughlin. We could take Seth McLaughlin on, put Dobbs back on.
No.
Defensive end, Ahmed Hassanin, Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Wanham, Derek Moore, Tyler Lacey. Defensive tackle, Ali McNeil, Chris Smith, Levi Onwuzurike, Skylar Gill Howard, Tyleek Williams. Inside linebacker, Derek Barnes, or not, I guess just linebacker. Derek Barnes, Devin White, Jack Campbell, Jimmy Rolder, Malcolm Rodriguez, and Trevor Dawoski. Cornerback, we've got DJ Reed, Ennis Rakestraw Jr., Keith Abney, Khalil Dorsey, Nick Whiteside, Rocky Sean, Roger McCreary, and Christian Izien. And then safety, we've got 3 safeties. We've really got 4 because I think technically Christian Izien can play safety in a pinch, which is why you have that split of 8 cornerbacks to 3 safeties. Avonte Maddox, Christian Izien, Chuck Clark, and Thomas Harper. And then you've got the 3 specialists, kicker Jake Bates, punter Jack Fox, and long snapper Hogan Haddon.
I think our toughest cuts, Jackson Meeks being the toughest. I would say he was the 54th player for us. If I keep going down here, I think Eric O'Neill is on that short list. Ben Stilley is on that short list.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Hunter and Joe Bocci,
Yep.
I think, were guys that we had discussions about. And I think that would probably be where I would draw the line. I think those 5 guys were the toughest to leave off in this exercise.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Are we going to play our game here?
We are going to play our game. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do something real quick. All right, we're gonna play our game here. Do you want to give the people a quick explanation of what the game is while I pull up the wheel here?
Yeah, so Nolan's gonna randomize a stat: receiving yards, passing touchdowns, rushing yards, interceptions, a bunch of different stats. Nolan's gonna pull it up. Once we have the stat, I'm going to think of a number that is relevant. So, for example, we couldn't do like 500 and then it's passing yards or passing touchdowns because you're gonna get a lot more yards and touchdowns. He's going to come up with a stat. I'm going to come up with a number. And then Nolan and I are going to name 5 players to try to get as close to that number as possible. You can go over. We changed that rule.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll compare at the end to see who won.
What happened last week? I forget.
Nothing happened last week.
I was within three receiving yards
5.
of 5 receiving yards. Okay,
Yeah.
Pretty legendary.
Anyway, go spin the wheel.
As we recall. All right, so we have on the list. Did you read through it?
I rattled off a few, but receiving yards, rushing yards, touchdowns.
Or well, not receiving yard. We could do receiving yards, receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, we could see how
so
we're
we
feeling.
can figure it out. We can figure it out. Go ahead.
Spin it.
Ooh, nice little sound effect there. Can you hear that?
I can.
Okay, cool.
Interceptions.
Wow.
All right.
Ooh.
So I'm going to do career interceptions, 5 guys. Thinking on a number off the top of my head real quick. Let's do 50.
50 interceptions. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're going to name 10. We got to each name 5 guys without doing any research. That's part of
Without
the game.
doing any
Like, it's
research,
just
yeah.
off the top of our heads.
Yeah. Little do you know, I have like those Google glasses, and I'm just like scanning Football Reference in my brain right now.
Yeah, you're like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Um,
Jarvis, give me the list of interceptions.
Okay. Me or you first?
Go ahead.
Okay. Last week we barred lines because it made it too easy. Are we doing that again, or are we?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Last year was a more like knowable.
Yeah. Kirby Joseph had 9 in 2024, and then he had 3 last year, which would be 12, and then I think he had like 7 in his 2 seasons before that. So he's at, I think, 19, or maybe I might be. I think he's at about 20. I'm going to say Kirby Joseph just because I'm confident he's floating around 20.
Okay. This is actually really hard because I
It
have
is.
no idea what. I don't even know what to guess for some of these guys.
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
like a lot of the cornerbacks that come to mind.
Are guys that have like racked them up.
Yeah. Like if you go like Champ Bailey, he's probably got like 50.
Yeah.
Give me Champ Bailey. I got a strategy. Actually, no. Actually, I'm not gonna do that. That'd be lame. I was gonna do Champ Bailey and then name 4 other guys who probably don't have any interceptions. Give me. I think Branch has like 5. Is that?
I don't know. I'm not going to help
Okay.
you.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Let's
so
go Branch.
You get Brian Branch. I am going to go with, I think Landon Collins has like 8 to 10. So I'm going to say Landon Collins here.
Okay. I'm gonna go. Okay, I think I am gonna go. I'm gonna go low. I don't even know if Jack Campbell has an interception. Let's go Derek Barnes. I know he's got at least one. Well, I guess that probably didn't count. Trying to think. Like I bet all the guys I think of, like I'm just like I don't know 5. You know, like Tracy Walker. I could go that direction. Let me go Amani Oruwariye. I bet he's
Okay.
got like I'm gonna guess that he's got like somewhere around 10 to 12. And I could be way overshooting that, but I'm pretty sure he had a 5 interception season. Yeah.
Fair enough. I think I'm at about 30 right now with 3 players left. So I want guys that are like floating around 10. Who do I think? Maybe can I pick a guy that's in the league right now?
Sure.
Well, I'm just. That was a question to myself. I'm trying to think maybe outside of like a corner or safety. I'm trying to do some linebacker, like Fred Warner. How many does Fred Warner have?
Yeah.
I bet he's got about like 10 in his career. I'm gonna say Fred Warner.
Okay. I had direction I was gonna go with this, and I can't remember what I was gonna do. Let me go like Deron Bland from the Cowboys.
Yeah. He's got a good bit.
He's got a good bit, but he also hasn't been in the league that long, so he might
Yeah.
not, I'm gonna guess he's got like 15.
He had the one. He had the one
15?
season where he had like 5 pick sixes.
Yeah.
I think he set the record. Okay, so
But
I
got to be honest, no idea how long he's been in the league. Like I couldn't tell you.
I'd put the over under at like 4.5 seasons. if
That's
about
probably
it.
where I'm 3 to 4, 3 to 5.
All right, so 2 more guys left. Probably a little under 20 interceptions to spare. I am going to go with. I'm trying to think of some guys that are around the league. How many do I think Carlton Davis has?
Mm.
I think Carlton's probably got like 7, 8 maybe.
Yeah.
So I know he had I think he had 2 in the playoffs last year, but those don't count for our purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say Carlton Davis here.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that DJ Reed has somewhere in the exact neighborhood of that.
Okay.
So I'll pick him as my 4th.
All right. So
I'm going all Lions here except for Deron Bland.
I'm trying to do some quick math. 32, 42. Okay. I want somebody low. I am going to pick Jack Campbell because I know he has none.
Okay. I'm just gonna throw a name at the wall, and I don't know how many I'm at. I feel like I'm probably overestimating the career interceptions for Branch and Oruwariye, and so I'm just gonna let it rip. I'm gonna go Trayvon Diggs. No guts, no glory.
Was that your 5th guy, or do you only have 4?
Yeah, that's my 5th guy.
Who? I'm missing one. Branch or Amani Oruwariye, Reed, Diggs,
And Deron Bland.
and Deron
Couple
Bland.
Cowboys.
Okay, so we'll
Lions and
pause here
Cowboys
and then
here.
add each other's up.
All right. You got them all tallied?
I do. So I think last time I read yours second, so now I'm going to read yours first this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair.
We'll go player by player. Brian Branch, how many were you predicting?
I don't know, 5.
He's got 7.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's in the ballpark.
I feel like I'm gonna end up with like 65.
Or I've always struggled with his last name. Amani Oruwariye.
Oruwariye.
Thank you. How many do you think?
10 to 15.
10.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're at 17. DJ Reed.
Thought like 7 to 10.
8.
Okay.
So is that you're at 25, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Trevon Diggs.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. Could be 10, could be 30. I have no idea.
20, right in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're at 55.
Oh, jeez.
Or no, 45.
Okay.
You're at 45 currently. 38, yeah, 45. And then Deron Bland is your last guy, so you need him to have as close to 5 as possible. He has 15. So your final total is 60.
Dang it. I shouldn't have gone for Trayvon Diggs. I don't know. Anyways. All right. Well, I lost. Not to kill the suspense here, but Kirby Joseph, how many did you think?
18 to 22.
He's got 20 right in the
Okay.
middle. Landon Collins,
8 to 10.
he's got 12, so you're at 32.
Okay.
Fred Warner,
10 to 12.
exactly 10, so you're at 42. Carlton Davis,
8 to 10.
11,
Mm.
so you're at 53. Still pretty good.
And then
Still
Jack
pretty
Campbell,
close.
0, yeah.
Yeah, Jack Campbell 0. So not bad. 53, pretty good.
You
Richard is a victor.
3 is smaller than 5.
That's true, but you were a further percentage away from than I was. I was like 0.01% off.
It's just
I don't know.
interesting. It's just interesting.
I'm still. There's nothing you can say to convince me that this was anywhere near as impressive as being 5 yards off. What was it? 5,000 yards?
It was, I think, 4,000.
4,000 receiving yards.
Yeah, you got 4,005.
Yeah, so it's a good run though. I hope you can have a day where you get where you have that big of a win. But
I did.
Today was pretty close. But if you go by how you were 6% over, I was again in the decimals. So it's still very impressive for you. I'm sure you're thrilled about this. So anyways, this is a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody for listening. Like I said, we'll be back with an episode, probably like a half length is what we're usually doing on Sunday as we kind of recap the 53-man roster. We'll go over some of the stuff in the game if it warrants it. But we got a quick turnaround from the end of the game, driving back, all that stuff to roster cut down day. So we're just going to talk to you guys on Sunday night after that, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning when that podcast is uploaded. So thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you back here next week.